Back, everybody. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is facing heavy criticism after speaking at the People's Conference for Palestine in Detroit, where one panelist went so far as to call America evil and urged destroying the idea of America. In her speech, Tlaib accused the U.S. of enabling genocide in Gaza. Oh boy, joining us now to discuss all of this, the Executive Vice President of the Coalition for Jewish Values, Rabbi Yaakov Menken. Rabbi, thank you so much for joining us again, sir.
And thank you again for having me back.
You know, I don't think that this is just a perception. It seems like this is pretty pointed, that Rashida Tlaib and some of her cohorts in Congress, that their rhetoric that has been along these lines for a while, it's ramping up. Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely, because they're finally saying the quiet part out loud. Let's understand where this is coming from. I don't know if you remember Shirley Temper, ahead to Mimi, who made headlines. I mean, she comes from a family of terrorists, and she attacked, as a teenager, she attacked soldiers with her bare hands, throwing slaps and fists and kicking them, and gets herself arrested. Well, now she declared right after the Hamas attacks in October 7 that the Jews should be waiting. They're going to rip their skulls open. They're going to drink their blood and eat out of their skulls. And then now she said, just to be clear about this, that every Palestinian child should understand it's not about the Zionists, it's about the Jews. Mm-hmm. The problem is the Jews. And they're just saying this quiet part out loud. It's always been about genocidal barbarism, destroying everything that America stands for. If you listen to the rhetoric from the conference, it's not just we hate the Jews, it's also we hate America. We need to tear its structures down. You have a sitting member of Congress saying that the power is not that she and her squad pass legislation. It's that the mob out in the street prevents society from functioning, prevents people from getting to work, prevents people from getting the flight they need to catch, prevents people from getting to the hospital. And that's how they're going to get their way. It's like the Nazi Sturmabteilung, the Nazi Hitler Youth, whose job was to shut down opposition voices so nobody else could be heard. That's what they're about, and they're destroying everything that America is built upon.
Yeah, you nailed it. You told us months ago that anti-Semitism is anti-Americanism, and this conference really laid it out bare. Now, a lot of the people that come, we know they're radical, but you don't normally expect an elected leader to say, I would be Hamas. But the mayor of Oakland, California, basically said, hey, the new playground is I would consider to be Palestine, and in that scenario, I would be Hamas. That is a pretty extraordinary statement for an elected leader in this United States of America. Your thoughts on what he went about saying?
The mayor of Richmond is an axe murderer and needs to be put in jail. And I'll explain it very simply. The getaway car driver for a robbery where a killing occurs can be convicted for murder. He can be sent away for jail, even though he never intended for anybody to be shot. It was simply supposed to be a robbery, and all he did was drive the car. He's still a murderer. Well, if a person declares himself part of Hamas, like the mayor of Richmond did, said, I would be Hamas if I were in that situation, okay, fine. You're part of an actual rape gang. I mean, they have. The Israelis discovered the paperwork to prove it, but we knew it all along. Hamas made rape part of their program. They knew, thanks to their accomplices, the so-called Gazan civilians who worked in these settlements, they knew how many people lived in each house, how many children were in the house, if they had a dog, so that Hamas should know to murder the dog. So again, they used rape as part of their program. They beheaded babies, not by coincidence. It was part of the program. They burned babies in ovens. They were worse than the Nazis. Just like, this is and this was part of their plan. And of course, they took hostages, a war crime on a daily basis, and they're starving them. They're torturing them. They're brutalizing them on a daily basis. And this is what Hamas represents. If you have a mayor declaring he is part of Hamas, he is himself part of the gang. He's an axe murderer. He's a rapist. He's a beheader of babies. He doesn't belong in office. He belongs in jail.
Yeah, no doubt.
Rabbi, I want to ask you about another one of her comments that was pretty salacious. She said, I say to every genocide enabler, you mother effers, we ain't going nowhere. We are now in Congress, every corner of the U.S. We are just getting started. The political structures of this country were built on slavery, genocide, and rape. If this was a Republican saying this, even if they were out in their district, when they came back to Capitol Hill, I do believe that there would be swift censure. Do you anticipate the Democrats on Capitol Hill are going to have anything to say about their colleague?
Democrats will do nothing. They will do nothing to the squad. They will. The fact is that a person can be an actual Nazi and be a member in good standing of that party right now. Now, by the way, no big fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She needs to be censured by the Republicans, and I don't see the Republicans moving fast on that either. So let's be clear that there is a bipartisan problem of anti-Semitic bigotry, but it's very clear which party is leading the way. And for her to declare that America needs to be torn down, it was all built on racism and slavery. What are you doing in Congress then? What are you trying? Why are you working within the law while simultaneously telling everyone around you to break the law? She's pro-anarchy, she's pro-barbarism, and she's anti-Semitic. She doesn't belong in Congress. The American people should not be supporting this, and we should recognize how dangerous this is to America's future. I like to comment, the Jews have a divine commitment for Jewish survival. America's survival is up to Americans. And either we maintain the welcome door to tolerance and peace and decency, or we allow the barbarians to take over. There's really not a third option there.
So we only got about 45 seconds left. We had an important story over the weekend, taking a look at the UN declaration of famine in Gaza, and then realizing that the data was literally cooked. I mean, it literally was cooked. Israeli government has pointed this out. We spent a lot of time reporting this out with Stephen Richards. Your thought when a UN agency misleads the entire world about a famine declaration by basically juicing the data?
Well, yeah, you know, let's not be too surprised. The UN has operated as an anti-Semitic body for years. UNICEF and UNRWA. Of course, the UNRWA, the UN Relief Works Administration, which is supposed to be helping people in Gaza and in Palestine, turns out to be the UN's very own terrorist organization. So if you trust the UN to be running any international affair, you're getting it wrong. If you trust them to run anything related to Israel and Palestine, you're actually relying on racism.
Rabbi Yaakov Menken, thank you so much for being here with us again tonight, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. One more segment after this, and we're going to close.